Hey, everybody, welcome to the Curious is Better podcast. I'm Fred Lamb with Invative, and today we have Hasan Kaya from MetPlus. Thanks for joining us, Hasan.
Thanks for having me, Craig. Thank you.
Hey, hey, listen, so I want to get right into it, but you and I spoke before, and I love your backstory. So I just want to start with your backstory. Right? You came here to study and then started a business. So you mind starting with that?
Absolutely, yes. So I'm from Turkey, Istanbul, Turkey, and coming from Istanbul to New York wasn't just a move, it was a total reset to me. I came here to study civil engineering. I dropped my business there because my family wanted me to get a diploma, and I was like, I want to do business, but they're just putting a cap on me. So what do? I should get a diploma. So I was already getting involved within the construction business when I was in Turkey home, and then I was willing to do the land development. And then I was like, okay, it's better to get a diploma from civil engineering then. So I came here to State University of New York to get my diploma. I came here with that purpose only, and my plan was to go back to Turkey and keep doing the business with my network because when you do business, it takes a while to figure out what's important in the business. And that's why there's a high failure rate for businesses.
Sure.
So when I was in Turkey, before even take a leap in my school career, let's say, or education, uh, I started doing business when I was 16. I got involved with different type of products, but essentially it was categorized under FMCG category, which means fast moving consumer goods. So in the business, I was dealing with Unilever directly, P&G directly, and I was filling up the shelves of the supermarkets. No online presence back then. So then my dad didn't want me to continue his business, and he's a visionary guy, and he told me that, Hasan, your generation cannot do the business what we have done in the 1990s and early 2000s because this country, which is Turkey, has a high inflation rate, and you have to build your relationships. And I see that generation is taking that lane separation.
Mhm.
I don't want to give you my company. I was so disappointed, and I didn't understand his point when I was 18, 19 years old. I didn't go to college because I wanted to take over what he has built and improve it from there. So then he encouraged me to get out of my hometown. It was a great, like, it brought me great outcomes, but it was really challenging. So I didn't even only change my career. So I focused on engineering diploma and I learned the engineering skills by just going to school and I expand my network. So I still do business with my friends from college years.
Mhm.
So basically I use my communication skills to have that network, let's say, ecosystem, and collecting and generating all the leads. That's how I process, and it really helped me to build my businesses. And that's how we survive over 6, 7 years in the United States.
That's awesome. I think you're downplaying all the obstacles that could come up, right? Because you probably had language, culture, all those other things, and you still had to launch a company in the US. So I think it's an incredible testament and a lot of compliments to you for succeeding and driving through that.
Appreciate it. So that was a full challenge. Like when you change a country, no network, no safety net, no family, and you have to be in survival mode somehow. But it depends on how you perceive it. You can perceive it as a panic. You can perceive it as a, okay, this is what I have done, and I have the confidence in myself, so I can go do the job. All I have to do is ask the right questions. It depends how you perception changes the entire destiny.
Certainly.
So that's what I believe, and I like to build trust and relationship with people rather than using only online jobs or online businesses. So I see a lot of people are trying to implement nomad culture in their life. And I'm not that type. I like to solve problems in day-to-day operation.
You just touched on something too, because maybe you can walk through like where MetPlus sits, because you guys are involved in a lot of different stuff. You're not just a 3PL, like you're doing e-com, right? Warehouse, there's logistics. You're in it all.
Yes.
So how do you know where you're like, is there a specific place you guys like to sit, or are you just service value add?
So let me break down into different phases and transfer all the steps and process clearly. So my background helped me a lot to manage more than 1,000 SKUs at the same time, because when I was in Turkey and actively working as a sales rep in the market, I learned how to use over 30,000 different line items in our catalog. So I saw the accounting part, I saw the purchasing department, I saw the sales velocity on many items, and we had to adjust everything in early 2000s, 2010. Like, even when Amazon started, they had a bigger picture and it took them 10 years to get where they want to be. So I learned how to build the system and have a plan, stick to the plan. You can use different tools, you can use different vendors, you can use different employees, but all you need is your intelligence and execution.
I couldn't agree with you more. But it helped me like understand where where you sit between your customer and endpoints, right? Because you and I talked before about the different software packages you use to help you facilitate some of that stuff, so you can stay nimble. Like um, it's such a chaotic industry that you're in, right? There's so many things that can go wrong, and then to be someone who excels at it, like you make it sound like it's an easy dance, but it's not really an easy dance. So can you talk about some of the things and the challenges of working that position?
Absolutely. So here's where we set actually. So I like to have that progressive approach so we can grow as we move forward. So first business in United States for me was selling kids furniture under MetPlus. So we have built a kids furniture design for kids who are enthusiasts with cars. I love cars, by the way, because it's so amazing that 70,000 different pieces come together and moves as a unit. So
I've never
it's
thought of it that way, but
it's
that's pretty cool.
crazy to me. Like, you have different parts, but they all align. So how does it align? I like to ask myself why and how questions. So I asked myself, I said, like, okay, transmission has its own role, engine has its own role, whatever. You can name anything. But when it comes to the purpose, it's going from point A to point B. It doesn't matter how fast you go, depends on your budget, depends on your MPG, right? You want to go fast? Okay, you have to pay more. You want to go slow? Okay, no problem. But you have to stay up and manage your capital in business, in car fuel and the maintenance. So we focus on basically building the departments separately and then get them connected at one line so you can see the entire movement from one dashboard. That's our goal. And our clients come to us for the complex problems because with no network in the United States, I took a risk and I opened a company. I ordered one container load from overseas from my networks. I was able to do that because I knew people in Turkey. So I filled my long term vision with my network because I like to have less competition in my field and have enough room to play with my margin, so to speak. So I realized in United States, most player, like most business owners, wouldn't even touch tight deadlines. Like, if there's any regulations and compliances, they don't like to take that risk because they see it as a risk. But what I did differently is basically, since I didn't know any information about the market dynamic, In my college year, last year, I started working for a medical company for free to understand the entire business dynamic in United States. How do we purchase the product? Same thing, like we have to purchase the product because I'm coming from a product-based business, and that's what I know. And then how do we do the accounting? How do we send invoices? How do we package all the items? Are we selling to the government? Are we selling to the private sector? Are we selling to big corporation? And what is their requirements for packaging, for item, for specs? And then I made my list based on what approach brings me the most ROI in this business. I use my intelligence to create that plan. I use AIs, like, which is artificial intelligence, to bridge the gaps, basically. So we have streamlined operations.
But there's a lot of things moving along. We when we talked earlier, we were touching on some of the technologies you used, and you also talked about, like, you tested a bunch because there's people in your industry that rely on these SaaS-based tools, but they're not perfect, right? And they fulfill some of those things. How, what tools did you land on, and how did you decide? How did you decide how to evaluate them, or pivoted away, or customized, or whatever? How did you multiply yourself by using these tools?
Yeah. So when we were handling only our inventory, I like to have an organized dashboard. So we start with Zoho inventory because it was free in the market. So I suggest everybody to go with the cheapest or free option to test what's working for them, because software companies can solve a lot of problem, but do you need all of them? Do you have to pay the premium price for what you need? So that's why I'm more cost concerned on those than like having the best or perfect software. So when we had only one client, because I like to separate myself from the business and have a system in place so I can replicate the system and franchise it out easily, because that's what I saw from my background. When I was 16, 17 years old, I already had 5 years of time in the warehouse, 5 to 10 years of experience in the warehouse, because my dad was running a huge warehouse in the region. When I say huge, it's basically 3,000 square meter, which is like 35,000 square
Sure.
foot. So once I saw that, I was like, okay, I need to have a warehouse because I need to have a commercial address. That's number one. I need to have an inventory management. So I'm seeing all this data. I'm seeing all the assets we have that we can turn them into cash, because you have your own asset and you have to use them to turn into cash. So this is the system creation for us. And then once we have enough space and keep getting calls from other vendors or manufacturers that already sold to United States or already have a connection database, client base in United States, started reaching out to me because they don't know anybody in the United States. And I started solving their little by little problems. And then at one point, there was another lot. They didn't even ask for a warehousing space. So basically what they have done is they secured the contract, they did the hard job, and then they manufacture all the products. But since they have no regulated compliance information on their end, they send their product to United States with no custom clearance. And when they called me, they're like, Hasan, we have to pay $55,000 just for the demurrage charges. How do we do that? I was like, let me work on it, because I had no idea. I thought we would just have to pay. And then I just sit down and think about the entire process and how we can fix it, because it's their first time sending product to United States. And I know that only one rule applicable to any situation. First doesn't count. First mistake doesn't count. So you can easily revert from that. So I solved that specific client's problem, and I had them pay less than $55,000, consolidate the payment, and then contact with HAPAG and port manager to let them release the 15 containers. I thought 15 container was a lot of numbers. And then since they like my process and my fast paced solution for this huge problem to them, they sent me another 250 containers within 6 months. And they wanted me to handle entire process, even though I'm not the custom broker. I'm not the logistic broker. And then I found myself as a lead generation machine on my phone. And then I was like, okay, I think I'm in the logistic business now. That's how I got into logistic business, because I learned how to ask the right questions to get the right answers.
So
So
the expanse of Met Plus too is because it's like you would take that problem and you could see, even though it's not where you started with warehousing, you could get into logistics and solve that problem as well. But I am noticing like you're not naming any software packages or any specific technology. This is like it seems to be from the brains of Hasan, but you've installed some, you've used some, you've franchised. Did you have to build it, or was there anything in the market that you were able to buy?
we didn't have to build it. So we work with many inventory management systems, warehouse WMS, basically warehouse management systems. So we started with Zoho, and then we grow enough, and we're like, okay, our accounting doesn't see all this inventory, so let's switch to NetSuite. And then we tried NetSuite, and then as we grew, I didn't want to take all the overhead costs on my shoulder. I started making deals with other 3PL warehouse owners, and they were using multiple different warehouse management systems. And we guide them through to connect with our clients to see everything on the dashboard. For us, we work with ShipHero on the WMS. We work with Extensive. We have some traditional 3PL warehouse owners, and they like to use Extensive still. There's a customer for any software. And then at ASD trade show, I met another company, Eva. So they were building a software to focus on Amazon sellers only, and we started using their software even in in-house warehouse. And then we saw all these challenges, and we were like, okay, like we have a problem here to connect all the dots. We talked with Eva. We asked them if they can build some TMS software solution for our projects. They did that, and we kept them for that specific project. So all in all, we use many different softwares. We see many different dashboards, but we are using plugin or sequencing all these softwares or AIs to show us everything under one dashboard.
That's
So without the numbers, it doesn't matter how much inventory you have. Without the clean organizational chart, you don't know what to do for the next step. So those are the things costing us time. And time, we cannot reverse the time. So we can spend money to earn all this streamlined transactions, no problem. But without system, it doesn't matter what AI you use, what software you handle everything under.
Yeah, so you were able to do something that a lot can't, right? So you reached out to your entire network and your client base. You met with another engineering firm, Eva, I think you said it was, that helped you do like API aggregation from these other systems, so you can see everything all in one spot, right? So
Yes, that specific Eva software helped us a lot on individual SKU cost and margin optimization, because they took Amazon sellers as a target audience.
sure.
And whoever sells on Amazon, we like to offer that service to Amazon sellers. But for the other platforms or B2B, it didn't work really well. So we specialize in different, like creating different solutions to B2B and B2C. So for B2B, we don't need that much details to see everything. We have pallets ready. We don't even break the pallets. We ship out the pallets directly. But in B2B business, we might have to do kitting. We might have to put FNSKU labels for Amazon, or organizing, kitting, bundling, a lot of different services. But what do we need for that specific SKU or specific customer? That's what we need to ask.
You mentioned AI a couple of times. How do you see it changing the game in logistics, let's say, of that branch of your business? You see AI making its way in?
So AI is definitely making its way in. So I don't see AI as a product yet. So I take things differently in my mind and process differently. So in my opinion, AI is still a tool like a cash. You have it, you can spend it, no problem. But when you're building a business or building a house, you need to have a plan to efficiently use that tool. But I'm seeing that Sam Altman is becoming a Steve Jobs of the era. If they finally turn that tool into a device, like everybody use iPhone, it became one of our organ. We cannot leave the home without our phone. It's really hard. It created a habit though, change our paradigm. I think it's becoming the same way with AI. If they create a product, then we can see the next steps and see where it's going exactly.
Yeah, one of our most the popular things that we're doing when you talk about like efficiencies of like not spending too much money on software is that, we've been seeing private GPTs. Have you heard of those? Yeah, so the private GPTs that can handle like all automated stuff. Like if someone had a question on, say, their order, it could look up and tell them exactly where it was in transit, like and like an operator in the language that your company wants to, share with its customers. Not a chat bot, not something that emails, but like could tell you your order's here. And we're seeing them all over the place for people that are trying to onboard new people, train, customer service stuff. Uh, Automatic reordering on inventory turns and things like that. So they're growing in popularity. It's just funny with AI too, because you share a comment that a lot of people share. It's like I'm waiting for this product that kind of fits into where we're at. And I agree with you. There's not really a product that's out there, but we're using so many of the tools, the development tools in AI to put them in existing tools to make them more automated. You
Exactly.
know,
That's how we use actually. So
is that how you do it too?
that's how we use. Yeah, we use private GPTs as well, but it's costly right now. It's not the right. It's not at the right price for many customers.
You don't see the ROIs on.
Well, we don't see huge ROI since we are utilizing them on the B2B side. So, but our clients, whatever they request, we can put in place, but we suggest them use it or not to use it at this level to protect their margin. So I come from like high inflation country. So inflation is in Turkey is like real numbers are way bigger than the government numbers, obviously, but
Uh,
government numbers are around 45-50%. Last month it
oh,
was around 60% inflation, but when you look at the real market, it's more than 100%. So with being in that type of market, taught me how to save money. Like when you make it, how are you going to use it? I cannot go throw all the money out the window and be like, okay, I have the perfect system, but I'm not making money, but I still have a great company. Business is a business if it's generating money.
sure. Well, let me ask you this then. If you had unlimited resources, money
Mhm,
was not an issue,
mhm.
what would be the one piece of tech that you would build for either the business or the industry? Like what would be that tech gap that if the money wasn't an issue?
Uh, I don't see any software gap, to be honest with you.
Really?
There is a lot of solution in the market. Some of them knows how to advertise them. Some of them don't. Like I don't use social media.
Me either.
I'm not on social media, but do I have to be in? No, unless if I want something specific from that target audience. So I know a lot of software engineers in the West Coast are not known in the market. They're just developing for specific companies per project base. So I don't see any software gap in the market, but to me, using our brain efficiently creates the entire change. So I would like to develop something that help us to use our brain more efficiently. as a tool, as a product, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah,
But
I don't know how far away we are from that. We are.
yeah, I'm so excited to see that changes though.
I think the funny thing is when you, all kidding aside, like some of these companies that we talk to, it's like putting a logical model inside a private GPT as an example
Mhm.
allows where you could almost enforce a company message and delivery process and workflow where there's some people, like say if they're new, they don't have 15 years of experience, they have 5 months of experience, and those mistakes could cost the company some multiplier over whatever that software tool would be, a private, say private GPT, where it kind of keeps things in line because it doesn't have emotion. It's like this happened, so I react this way. And these logical models are built, they're tested, and they're robust. But you did raise a good point. It doesn't challenge your head. It doesn't make you sharper as far as your personal processing of logic of your industry. But you kind of have a different take on it than most of the people I talk to. It's like we're looking for consistency, we're looking for innovation and improvement through process modeling and adhering to different processes. Where yours is more like we bring value. What's the problem?
Yeah.
What's the problem? I don't care what the problem is.
Because listen, I'm not from here. I'm from like I can live anywhere in the world. If you survive in New York, you can live anywhere. That- that's how I see things. So we like to design the operational infrastructure, not like, oh, we have tools, we have this shirt, we have this warehouse, we have this fancy stuff. No, if you need infrastructure, planning, and more savings on your book, you need to sit down and think about it. You don't have to have, as you said, 10 years, 15 years of experience in anything. You can find person to pay them, get the knowledge. That's what I like about America. You can step up easily because people value the knowledge. So I got the knowledge of how to run business outside of United States, and I was already involved with the import and export. It wasn't really a rocket science to me. But when I say I do import and export, for companies, they see me like a rocket science guy. Like I'm an engineer, but I'm not a rocket science engineer. But this is what I'm used to, and this is what I'm familiar with. This is what I'm offering, and I have the connections. I can get your product manufactured or produced anywhere, and then do the logistics. We can store your store your products in any warehouse closer to your clients, and then we can do the last mile delivery in between all these gaps. Where are you losing your money the most? What's your friction zone? Like, how can we be a value and asset to your company so we can work in the long run? Yes, as a consistency, I like to have profit consistency as a margin. Price can go up, but am I gonna be able to make the same consistent margin? No, like depends on where you are at the market. If you're starting up, you just have to understand the entire supply chain. Where are you at? Are you a retailer? Are you a wholesaler? Are you an importer? Or are you the manufacturer? Are you the brand owner? Do you have the entire infrastructure? Who are you dependent with? Is it your logistic company? Is it your vendor? Why don't you source another vendor? We already have a list I can offer to you, but we need to sit down and listen to you. So this is my target audience. So people come to easily $3 to $5 million with their first business idea. They generate enough money and then they hit a plateau. They're like, oh, what do I do now? So then they look around and they saw what's advertised online and they start trying all these softwares and apps, whatever can help them save money. It happened to me as well. That's why I did all this trials on many different WMS, but I didn't need TMS. So when I needed TMS, I called the right guy and be like, we need a TMS solution here. Can you handle this job for us? You're gonna be paid, you're gonna get paid, I'm gonna get paid. We're gonna solve this guy's problem. Everybody's gonna be happy. So I'm good at creating win-win situations for people. And why would I focus on AI? Because it's trending right now. and try to build something out of what I have no idea on the technical side. So we connect the dots. We use whatever useful. Today we are using Eva, let's say. Tomorrow we can use ShipHero. It's already under our belt, and we know what to use it for, and we know how to connect the dots.
Well, you're actually creating. You're really just sharing some really good advice for people when they talk about evaluating technology. It's like, do you need it? Because it's the why, right? Like there are places you have it, you need it, and you have it, and you're not opposed to looking at what's new, but there's got to be a why. There's got to be a return on investment. Is it either consistent or increase your margins? I think that's smart. Let me wrap up with one more question because I think that because you've shared a lot, and I think this is super interesting. Anybody watches this or listens to it, and they're trying to break into supply chain or logistics, like what piece of advice would you give them? Like where's the opportunities behind that surface, right? Because you told a story where even your first container was from your network, right? So that could be a family and friends type reference, but you quickly grew, like quickly grew. So what would you tell somebody trying to break into it?
Start small. Start small. So don't start with a warehouse. Start with a one single customer that can pay you enough to have that money coming in. All those revenue or profit can build you an office, warehouse, or logistic line, whatever you want to build. But don't start big. Start small and document everything. Now in my book, I can call my system as a system because now in my book, we have more than 3,000 separate pages for entire process. I built personally everything step by step, like teaching to a third grader. Even fifth grader has some ideas and they can be creative with their idea and they can give you some solutions
Sure.
by teaching. I like to focus on third grade mind. It's empty. Have no experience, no solution in any industry. And our service is industry agnostic. It didn't happen overnight, but I documented everything. So I had a baseline in my book. What can I do? And what is my limit? I have to know my borders. Without borders, I was selling just the furniture. And then I got an offer from another company to deliver some other products. I was managing a medical company. I go through FDA audits and I knew what to do with the entire process. And then somebody else called me and be like, can we put you as a fractional C-level so you can manage our FDA audits as well? So it depends, like based on how you advertise yourself. I'm not on social media. People don't know me, but I have my network all around the world. We can move any raw material. We can find any alternative source to Chinese manufacturer at the moment. That's what we have done, but we didn't know that 6-7 years ago when I started MedPlus, I would become like the guy I became today without all this stuff, without all these experiences. So I got my hands dirty and I started small. I suggest everybody to do the same thing with any industry.
That's good advice. Well, listen, thanks for joining. This was really, really interesting. I love your story. And I
Appreciate
look
it.
forward to talking to you again soon. I appreciate it very much, Hasan.
Anytime. Let's keep in
Thanks
touch.
for listening, everybody.
Thank you so much.